Happy New Year, Peoria Heights. We're back with another episode of Tower Talk after taking something of a holiday season sabbatical. Today our guest is Rick Picl, Chairman of the Peoria Heights Zoning Board of Appeals. Rick, we're glad to have you.
Thanks. Yeah. Glad to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Rick Picl. I'm a lifelong Heights resident. I'm fourth generation Heights resident. So my great-grandfather moved here back in the 20s, and actually it's a funny thing now, he opened one of the early restaurants in Peoria down on Glen Avenue, Peoria, Picl's Summer Garden.
Really?
Served beer and chicken and all sorts of stuff down there. But no, so I lived in Heights my whole life. I went to Illinois State University.
Me too.
A bachelor's degree in computer science, and then
you were smarter than I was. Communications.
And then I've worked at Caterpillar for 31 years, and I'm married, and I have 4 daughters. Live down on Glen.
Wow, you are outnumbered. Wow. Yeah. You're a brave man.
5 to 1.
Yeah, I'm from a family where my family did not have a single boy for 6 consecutive generations. So all women until this last group of grandkids and two
what that's like then, don't you?
Finally, company. So anyway, so what was it like growing up in the Heights, especially with a father who was mayor of the Heights? You're one of the Heights royal member of one of the Heights royal families.
Yeah, well, I went to school in the Heights, right? Went to grade school, high school in the Heights. It was, it's a bit different back then, but there's always been that sense of community, and so I've been involved with, because of my dad, and the festivals and the picnics and all the goings on in the Heights, the Jubilee and such way back. But like I said, there was always a sense of community and a sense of pride that we were Peoria Heights, not Peoria.
Yeah.
I remember my dad, when I was growing up, we'd be visiting other towns or being on vacation, and somebody would go, "Oh, you're from Peoria," and he'd go, "Nope, Peoria Heights."
Yeah.
And I still do that. I still correct people that I'm from Peoria Heights.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of tells the story. He was mayor for more than half of my life now, right? So 28 years, and
so did you have to stay out of trouble?
I did have to stay out of trouble, and but I or maybe hide my trouble. How about that?
There you go.
But it definitely was a little bit of pressure. Having my dad be mayor the whole time I was going through high school and college and such. But
How many terms was your dad mayor? How many years do you recall?
So 28 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
so, 28 years.
So 7 terms.
We're talking about Ray, Rick's father, who was mayor here for a very long time.
And he was trustee for 4 years before that. So the year I was born, he became trustee, and then 4 years later, he became mayor and was, all the way up to almost 2000. So.
Yeah, so was your presence mandatory at all these community functions?
Pretty much.
Really?
Pretty much, yeah. And, did a lot of things with the Village Party, which was his political party at the time, and a lot of, like I said, picnics, and then, we had the beef festivals and the firemen's fairs and all those things, and, helped out as a kid, helped out carrying stuff and doing that kind of thing growing up.
Yeah.
But there was always that sense of just community involvement and giving back to the community, doing my part. And so when he actually was one of the first person that appointed me to the zoning board.
Oh, really? And when was that?
Did that with pride back in '92.
So have you been on the board all this time?
No, I've been on and off over time, but all the way back in '92, and I think at the time a gentleman by the name of Chuck Etkoff, who just passed away, was the board secretary. Taught me a lot about zoning.
Okay,
and just saw his obituary recently, but I was on the board from like '92 to about '98, and then back on in 2008 to present. So
your dad's doing well? I think I saw him.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Saw him not too long ago.
Yeah.
Ray also worked with me at the Peoria Journal-Star. In fact, I was coming as he was going.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
he's 90 years old, doing
Yeah.
great. Yep.
He was a big Bradley guy, as I recall.
Oh yeah.
Cubs
Yep.
fan, as I
Going to a
recall.
Bradley game with him tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Cubs fan, which is a shame, but anyway, so tell those listeners who may not be familiar with the Zoning Board of Appeals what it is and what it does.
Well, the Zoning Board of Appeals really is the administration of an ordinance that was enacted back in 1970. In 1970, they adopted the Peoria Heights zoning ordinance, which basically broke the village into zoning districts, residential districts, and business districts. And the Zoning Board really is the administration of that ordinance for the village. So
Right.
we look at the rules and regulations in that ordinance when people want to build new buildings, additional construction, add-ons, develop new sites, new projects like that. And so we really look at the ordinance, kind of judge what the Heights wants, and it changes over time, right?
Sure.
What
Yeah,
the
you
Heights is
adopted
trying
a
to be.
form-based, the Heights adopted a form-based code at some point, correct?
Well, we adopted an overlay district
Yeah.
for the business district only, so just
Okay.
down Prospect.
Right.
So we have a form-based code for
Okay.
just on Prospect, and we're talking about form-based code for some of the other districts, but we really haven't got there yet.
Right, okay.
Yeah, really we try to just look at the public safety, the site, what it's going to look like, is the character of the village, contiguous with what the character of the village what we want it to be today and what we want it to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's property changes hands every day,
Yeah.
and just because somebody wants to change their property today, most likely they're not going to be there in 10 years, and then somebody else has to live with
Sure.
it. So, and the same with neighbors and that sort of thing, property values. So we just try to weigh all that and do what we think is best for the character and
Sure.
the village.
So how many members of the board?
There's
Board?
9 members on the zoning board.
Yeah.
We serve 5-year terms. They're volunteer positions. We meet once a month, and the members are currently Mike Wu, Steve Cady, Matt Wigington, myself, Tessie Buckler, a new member that we just had, Kathy Stevenson just went off, and we have Charlie Calloway is now on the board. We have Janie Bax, Jack Wiedemann, and Nicholas Tengerna.
Okay. So you meet once a month, you said, and
Yep.
and what, like the third Monday or something like that? What's the
Third Monday.
Third
Third Monday we meet,
Yeah.
and it just kind of depends on how much business there is, if there's site plans to review or variance requests or that
Sure.
sort of thing. So
Sure. So these are volunteer positions, as you say. How much time do you think you devote to?
well, it depends. So I've been the chairman since for a few years now, and I spend a lot of time taking calls with Sarah, the village administrator, from the administrator's office, from Dustin's office, to kind of start the investigation on site plans and variances, and then pass that on when they come to the board. But I would guess on the normal board member probably spends anywhere, depending on how many requests we have a month, anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a month.
Okay.
Reviewing
Yeah.
the statute, reviewing
Yeah.
kind of the ordinance and what they want to do, physically going to the property and,
Sure.
and looking at it, talking to neighbors,
Okay.
which is a big thing that a lot of people overlook is you need to get out and talk to the neighbors and say what do you think of this, and
Sure.
probably anywhere from 4 to 8 hours depending on how many there are.
Sounds like a fair amount of work, uncompensated, obviously. So
Yep.
why do you do it? Why do you? And you've been doing it for a long time, off and on.
Yeah, like I said, it's been kind of ingrained in me to just be involved in the community,
Yeah.
and I find it an important job. I'm a member of the Peoria Heights community, and I plan to live here for a long time.
Yeah.
So I want to see Peoria Heights grow the right way.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the process and what factors drive the board's decision making.
So process-wise, we really kind of handle 3 different types of requests. We have site plan reviews, which is more of a development type plan review where we look at where the building's going, what type of building, the parking, the lighting, the public safety,
Sure.
all those things around the building and how it fits in with the neighborhood that it's going in and those sorts of things. Then there's special use requests, and those are when a certain type of business wants to move into a district that it is not in the ordinance for that.
Right.
So if there's a business that wants to move into a residential neighborhood or a multifamily house, in a single family district, those types of things. And then there's the other main thing that we look at is variance requests, which is when I'm building or improving my property, what are my property setback lines, how tall can the building be, those types of things. We don't get involved in necessarily the building construction,
Sure.
How it's constructed and what kind of trusses you have and that sort of thing. It's more about where on the property, how it looks in the neighborhood,
Right.
how it matches the other houses in the neighborhood, that type
Does it
of
fit? Is it
Does it
compatible with what's around there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So have there been any particularly contentious or controversial issues over the years? And
controversial probably. I think the board does a good job at trying to just be fair and looking at the ordinance and trying to come to some sort of compromise with the neighbors that might be upset or the actual property owner themselves. We've had our, there were fences and that sort of thing that have been.
Last year there was the
right,
fence issue.
that people argue about a bit. But in the end, I think the board does a good job of just kind of weighing the common sense of what is being done and whether it fits in the neighborhood and that sort of thing. And, try to do our best for for both the owner and the property owners around the development.
Sure. So how do you deal with disagreements? You talked about trying to reach a consensus, but are most votes unanimous?
No. Most votes are. In fact, most of our votes are not necessarily unanimous. I think everybody has their own idea of what a hardship is, right? So it's very generic. The variance request or the special use request or those types of things require a hardship on the developer or the owner, and that's a vague term, and so I think everybody has their own
in the eye of the beholder.
The eye of the beholder of what a hardship is, and some find it, the bar's lower than higher.
Yeah, sure. So the zoning board is not the final word on any given development, correct? The village board
correct.
Has
so there's kind of two kind of categories. One is on site plans and special use permits. The zoning board does its work and then passes on a recommendation to the village board, who has the final vote.
Yeah.
So we have to vote, but then we pass our vote on as the final vote to the village board. And then the variance process, the zoning board kind of has the final vote unless they want to go through the appeal process. There's a special appeal process that somebody can take it through that then it would go to the village board for an appeal. And so both of those types of things have happened on and off over the years. And, sometimes, the village board agrees with the zoning board and sometimes they don't, but I think it's just a more of a check and balance of, of the process.
Does it bother you at all when the village board doesn't take the zoning board's advice, or does it just go with the territory?
No, it goes with the territory. I think, obviously some issues are, people feel stronger about certain issues than other issues. So, there's been times that I'm like, well, it's not how I would have voted, but, you have to respect that that's, the village board is the final say. So.
Yeah. So what challenges do you see coming down the road? Anything at all? Anything?
Oh, well, we have a lot of development going on in the Heights, right? And a lot of new development.
Great news, right? Yeah.
Yep, great news.
Nice problem to have.
Very nice problem to have, and it's in a lot of good development projects. A lot of things that will really make the Heights shine. But we just have to make sure that we kind of keep the ordinance in mind as far as what is the look and feel and the character of Peoria Heights, and making sure that we still we keep that, and making sure that the that we don't let buildings come in that are way out of scope
Yeah.
for Peoria Heights. So.
Yeah, you've talked a lot about the look and the feel and the character of the Heights. How would you describe that to people?
I think Peoria Heights is a small, a smaller community. We're not going to, I don't know that skyscrapers would do well here or look right here,
exactly.
right? But I think we want to keep the walkability, right? They talk about the walkability, the sidewalkability, where you can walk from restaurant to business, where homeowners can just walk uptown and do their shopping or do, that kind of small town appeals is very popular right now, and I think Peoria Heights has always kind of had that. So I think we're
nice energy, just kind of a nice energy level.
I think we're poised to really keep that and make it better.
Yeah.
So
good. So at the end of the day, how do you measure success as a zoning board?
Like I said, I know nobody's always going to be happy, right? So we're going to have people that think one thing or the other. I think the big thing for our board is to compromise and look at compromise and look at how, as long as we're, keeping that look and feel and character and of the village and keeping protecting people's property values and protecting people from issues with their neighbors and that sort of thing, that we're doing our job.
Good. Rick, thank you. This has been very educational.
You bet.
That wraps things up for us. We're hoping the sun comes out soon, but so long. We'll see you in the Heights. And don't forget, tune into Tower Talk the next time. Thanks.
Thank you.